Round 2 of the Justice Hunter archetypes has just been revealed, and it is very promising. Hey guys, Otaku here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Yummy archetype that just got revealed in Justice Hunters. So earlier this week, we looked at Dragon Tail, which was revealed last week. I just got around to it. But Yummy just had all of its cards revealed, and these are some really good cards. Unlike the Dragon Tales, I have already pre-read these cards, but we're going to go over them again in the video today. And we're going to even talk about some theory crafting on what could be played in this deck. But before we do, I have noticed that a great deal of you that watch my content are not currently subscribed to the channel. So if you like competitive-based content, tier lists, or even new card reveals, consider subscribing to the channel so I can continue to make videos like this one. But also, don't forget to hit that bell button for future notifications, and also leave a like on this video. All right, so we're just going to dive right in and start with Cappuccini Yummy, a light level 1 beast, 0 attack, 1600 defense. Now, all of the Yummy main deck monsters are level 1 light beasts, so there is a lot of synchronicity with stuff like Obedience Schooled, I think is what the card is called, and just like a lot of other really cool archetypes that we'll talk about later in the video here. But you can only special summon this card with the first effect and use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect is if you control a Link 1 monster or a level 2 Synchro monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. All of the main deck monsters have this effect. It's kind of, again, like a Malice-esque thing where they all share a similar effect. The second effect is if this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Yummy card from deck to hand, except Cappuccini Yummy. Or if this card was special summoned by a Synchro monster's effect, you can draw one card instead. I really like this, and as we will notice when we get to the Synchro monsters do all special summon Yummy monsters via one of their effects. And I like that a lot because that means that when you're playing on your opponent's turn, you have the ability to just do really cool, like, interactive stuff. And then on top of that, depending on what the rest of your deck does, it could be like the ability to synchro into other stuff. Next, we have Cookie Yummy. Again, another light level 1 beast, 1000 attack, 0 defense. It can still special summon itself from the hand if you have a Link 1 or a level 2 synchro. If this card is normal special summoned, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 1000 attack, or if it was special summoned by the effect of a synchro monster, destroy the targeted monster. Once again, I really like this a lot. I think the pop effect is going to see more use than the attack modulation, but, you know, depending if you're going for an OTK strategy, which this deck kind of does have, I could see that first effect also being used, or the first part of the second effect. Then we have Lollipoppy Yummy, again, another level 1 light beast, attack 600, defense 1200. Once again, you can special summon it if you control a Link 1 or a level 2 synchro. Keep in mind that they can all special from hand if you control a generic Link 1 or a generic level 2 synchro, meaning that you don't have to have the in-archetype Link 1 or the in-archetype level 2 synchros. If you just have any, you can do this, which is like very important for like future side engines. But the second effect is if this card is normal special summon, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, or if this card was special summoned by a synchro monster, you can banish it instead. I like this second effect a lot. I'm a big fan of the ability to interact with the opponent's graveyard, especially the more graveyard decks become prevalent over time, or just decks like Fiendsmith have the infinite ability to recirculate their resources, so being able to meddle with that is really nice. Moving on to the synchros, we have Cappuccini Yummy Way. It is a level 2 light beast synchro. It is also a tuner, keep that in mind. It is a attack 0, 2200 defense. It does require one tuner and then one or more non-tuner monsters. And if you're going to synchro summon this card, you can treat any Link 1 monster as a level 1 tuner. There are 2 synchro monsters for this deck, and they both share the same ability that you can treat one Link 1 as a level 1 tuner to synchro summon these cards. That's big because if you haven't noticed, the main deck monsters don't actually have the ability to be tuners. They're heavily relying on their Link 1 that we'll get into in a minute, but they can take any Link 1. It's incredibly generic, meaning you can use Fiendsmith Requiem, you can use Almirage, you can use just any Link 1, Skystriker Kagari, so like Engage is just full, you know, combo for Yummy. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, you can add 2 Yummy monsters from deck to hand, then discard 1 card. That's just straight gas. You just summon this and then you just add full advantage. And sure, you discard a card, but you know, maybe you have a discard engine as well. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can return this card to the extra deck, special summon 2 Yummy monsters from your graveyard. This is not exclusive to your opponent's turn or the main phase or any of that. You can do this whenever. Quick effect whenever, meaning it's just like full advantage. So it also allows you to help break boards, essentially. So if you manage to get this onto the board when you're going into an opponent's fully established board, you summon this, they try to stop you, you use this effect, bounce it to the extra deck for cost, might I add, and then you special summon 2 Yummies, and then the Yummies, because they were special summoned from a synchro, can get that other effect instead of the original one. The second synchro is Cookie Yummy Way. Again, a level 2 light beast synchro. This one is not a tuner. It is 1600 attack, 0 defense, and just like the last one, you can use any generic Link 1 to be a level 1 tuner for the synchro summon of this card. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target up to 2 face-up monsters on the field, switch them to face-down defense. So this just has the ability to book 2 monsters on the field. It doesn't even have to be on your opponent's field. It could be anywhere on the field. And then the second effect is when your opponent activates a monster, spell, or trap effect, you can return this card to the extra deck, special summon 2 Yummy monsters from your graveyard. This is a when effect, so I think this can miss timing, which is funny. I also misspoke. We actually have 3 synchros. We have Lollipo Yummy Way, level 2 light beast synchro. Again, not a tuner, unlike the first one. And again, you can use a Link 1 for the synchro summon of this card. If this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon 2 Yummy monsters from your graveyard to your field, but negate their effects. That's fine. Just getting more advantage. That's fine. When your opponent activates a monster, spell, or trap effect, you can return this card to your extra deck, special summon 2 Yummy monsters from the graveyard. So same effect as the last synchro we just talked about. So it definitely seems like the Cappuccini Yummy Way is like the better of the 3s because it can go for cost and it's a quick effect. But like I can still see application for both of the other 2. But between Lollipo and Cookie, I can definitely see more application with Lollipo when you're trying to go first to establish a board, because you can revive the Yummy monsters and you can revive the Link monster. It's not summoning them in defense mode. It's just negating their effects. And so you can basically synchro summon this card with the Link 1 Yummy that we're going to talk about in a minute with another Yummy to make this guy use his effect, bring the other 2 back, and then make another one. As for the Link, we have 1 Link, and it's Link 1 Yummy Snatcher. 600 attack, arrow pointing down. It only needs 1 level 4 or lower light beast monster, and we'll talk about this in a minute. That's incredibly generic, and we'll even talk about some of the many targets that this can use. You can only use the first effect of this card once per turn, meaning the second effect is not once a turn. If this card is special summoned, you can place 1 Yummy field spell from your deck face up in your field zone. You cannot Link summon Link 3 or higher Link monsters for the rest of the turn, which is like fine. The second effect, which is not once a turn, is during either player's main phase or your opponent's battle phase, you can pay 100 life points, max once per chain, perform a synchro summon using at least 1 Yummy monster you control as material. Quick synchro, love that. You can do that whenever you want, and it's, you know, you pay 100 life points. Oh, darn. And you can do that whenever. It is once a chain, however, and this is crazy. This card's the ability to just quick synchro on your opponent's turn and just have this Link 1 on the board. This Link 1 can also be used as a tuner. You have the ability to just bring it back and do plenty of other stuff. Like this is all really strong. As for spells, we have 2 field spells because, as you notice, the Link monster can place a field spell in the field spell zone. There are actually 2 of choice. The first one is Yummy Amusement Mignon. You can only use the second and third effect of this card's name once per turn. The first effect is all Yummy monsters you control gain 500 attack for each light beast monster on the field. This is kind of where the OTK strategy comes in, because if you have like a bunch, if you have like 5, they're all getting 2500 attack. So pretty big monsters. That's why they all kind of start with like 0 or like less than 1000 attack, is because they're all going to be pretty big to begin with. If you control a Link 1 monster, you can target 1 level 1 Yummy monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Awesome. So you basically, the combo is you like normal summon a Yummy, link it away for the Link 1. Link 1 activates this from the deck. Use this effect to bring back the Link 1. You make the synchro that's going to revive 2 from the graveyard, bring back those 2, make the one that's going to add 2 to your hand, and then like full combo, keep going. The third effect is if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 2 Yummy monsters in your graveyard and or banishment, place both those monsters and this card on the bottom of the deck in any order. This is really good because that just means that your cards have the ability to recur themselves. If you need your cards that are banished, because there's some really cool stuff that you can do with this deck that require banishing your monsters. Then you can use this card to recur the resources, and because it's so easily accessible with the link 1, it doesn't really matter if it goes into the deck. The second one is Yummy's Amusement Acrylic Key. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect is if you synchro summon a light beast monster, you can target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. Basically, the goal for that first effect is that this is what you're ending on, so that way when you use the quick effect of the link to synchro summon on your opponent's turn, you are going to have the ability to just pop a card on the opponent's field, kind of like the planets almost with Manadium and like Tearlament and all that. It has the ability to pop a card if you meet a specific condition on your opponent's turn. The second effect is if this face-up card you control leaves the field because of your opponent's effect, you can special summon one Yummy monster from the deck. I don't know how likely this is to happen, but it does say leave the field, which means if your opponent banishes it, sends it, destroys it, doesn't matter. It's going to have the ability to special summon a Yummy from the deck. Third effect is if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 2 Yummy monsters in your graveyard and or banishment, place both of those monsters and this card on the bottom of the deck in any order. So the cool thing here is both the field spells have the ability to recur themselves, meaning that you really only need to run one of them, each of them, because the link one's going to be able to get them from the deck, and then you have the ability to put them back from essentially anywhere. The only catch here is that if this does get banished, there's not a whole lot of ways to recur it without the other field spell. But overall, the field spells have a lot of ways to just recycle themselves and constantly be in rotation, meaning that it's going to be really hard to get rid of these cards unless you banish them like face down or something. The last card we want to talk about is Yummy Redemption. There's a lot of talk that this won't be seen play just because it's a trap card, but you can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. The first effect is all monsters your opponent control loses 200 attack for each light beast monster you control and in your graveyard, meaning that the field spell is giving you attack for each light beast you control, and this is making your opponent lose attack for each light beast you control and in your graveyard. Very, very strong. This is, again, how we're kind of like performing an OTK, essentially, in making our bodies just really big, meaning our opponent can never really swing over our monsters. Once per chain, if you synchro summon a light beast monster, you can draw one card, then place one card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. Once per chain, meaning you could just keep drawing cards and fixing your hand. This is actually an insane card. The only, like, I guess, concern is that, again, at the end of the day, is a trap card. It's a little slower, but it's like infinite resource. You're just drawing a card and fixing your hand, essentially. Like, I really like this effect a lot, and it's once per chain, not once a turn. Crazy. And then the third effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one Yummy monster you control, and one monster your opponent controls, switch control of those 2 monsters. This one seems a little niche, because it always kind of seems like you want to have full access to your own monsters. You don't really want to steal your opponent's, but if your opponent has a very problematic card, then I can see why this would be fine, because you switch control and then your Yummy monsters are like weak, and the field spell only gives your Yummy monsters attack, not your opponent's, meaning that your opponent is going to just have this like 600 attack Yummy, whereas you just stole their like Heart's Cryptor, I guess, is an example. Not a good example, but an example. I think overall, I still really like this card, but I can definitely see why some people are saying maybe they're not going to run this, just because, again, it is a trap card. Trap cards have to be fitting a very specific niche these days to be seeing a lot of play. Obviously, like the in archetype trap cards, of course, so like the Malice traps, they can be activated to the turn they're set, whereas like, you know, this, you have to, you know, set it and then you have to wait until your opponent's turn to activate it. But also at the same time, you can kind of keep searching for like hand traps to further interact with your opponent, as long as, you know, you're synchro summoning light beast monsters, which is pretty doable. I imagine you could probably do it at least twice on your opponent's turn, given, you know, the possible, you know, outcomes of your end board and what you're playing. But I do real quick want to talk about some of the possible requirements to be able to make Yummy Snatcher the Link 1. It just needs a generic level 4 or lower light beast monster. Now, the options are not super vast. This is all of the level 4 or lower light beast monsters that currently exist in the game that can be used to make Yummy Snatcher. The ones that immediately stand out to me are the Fabled cards, because Fabled is getting support in the new Terminal Revenge set that comes out later this year. But overall, like, everything else doesn't really super stand out to me. Like the Bujins, sure, but overall, like, this is kind of our options. I guess the Ojamas stand out. Like, I'm sure, you know, some rogue players will try to make Yummy Ojama work, which more power to them, of course. But overall, I don't really think you need a side engine for light beasts to be able to make Yummy Snatcher, because the main deck monsters don't need a Link 1 Yummy Snatcher on the board. They just need a generic Link 1, or just a generic Link in general, to be able to special summon themselves from the hand. And then the Link 1, regardless if it's Snatcher or not, is treated as a level 1 tuner for the Synchros. And currently, the best Link 1s that exist in the game right now that would be, easy to facilitate into this deck are cards like Salamangreat Almirage, Fiendsmith Requiem, if somehow it survives this long. And even like Sky Striker Kagari, because that just means that Sky Striker Mobilize Engage is full combo for this deck. You just basically go Engage, add Hornet Drone, make Kagari, add back Hornet Drone, and then you go Hornet Drone, summon out the token again, and then you make the Synchro, because they don't need Yummies to make the Synchros at all. You probably make the one that can search 2 Yummy cards to your hand, and then you just proceed to normal summon a Yummy and then try and play the game from there. Just link away the Yummy Snatch into Yummy Snatcher get Field Spell. I can already kind of see the combos. And the thing here is that if somehow Fiendsmith survives long enough for this deck to come out, oh, we're fucked. Fiendsmith Yummy would go crazy, because you just go like full combo into Yummy, and then you link away 2 bodies, because you can't make a Link 3 or higher. So sure, you can't make Adnam Day. Oh darn. But you can make Requiem, you can make Sequence. You're not locked into specific levels. You're not locked out of, Synchro Summoning or anything like that. So overall, like, Fiendsmith Yummy would go super strong, and I hope that's not the case. Another thing I do real quick want to talk about is the ability to run stuff like Tri-Brigade in this deck. Tri-Brigade heavily revolves around like Link 2s for the most part in their combo, and they don't really even summon Shurig until your opponent's turn with like Revolt, which at that point, that's fine. So I could definitely see Tri-Brigade being run in this, and obviously you're banishing them, which means your field spells can retrieve those banished resources, put them back into the deck, and just kind of keep recurring your resources. But also on top of that, you just normal summon Kit, link away for Almirage, Kit effect, and then you just have like almost full combo. You just need to get another body on board, which if you have a Yummy in hand, you special it once Almirage is on the board, and then you again have full combo. And then another archetype I could see kind of being run with this, the levels kind of conflict, but again, I could see it happening, is the Melfies. The Melfies also have the ability to quick synchro on your opponent's turn, and because of that, I could definitely see like some form of synchronicity where they can just kind of keep the board under control. But overall, I think at least between the 2 archetypes, we haven't seen the third one yet, but between the 2 archetypes, I think Yummy is the most scary of the 2 archetypes shown so far, and almost kind of gives me Malice vibes, I'm not gonna lie. So if y'all hate Malice, you're probably gonna hate Yummy when the deck comes out. But, we'll have to see when the 3rd archetype gets revealed if that's even more cancerous. But, of course, I would like to hear what you all think down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already and you like competitive-based content. But with that, I'll see you all in the next video. See ya.